interior design studio. They combine decades of hospitality, business and interior design experience with backgrounds spanning PLC departments and C-suite roles. They've managed £100 million property portfolios, delivered more than 40 major hospitality developments, built a tech company from idea to exit, and transformed their own 11-bed hotel from £260,000 to £1.7 million turnover. Their service accommodation portfolio consistently delivers more than 30% ROI and is accredited as world-class by Airbnb, outperforming local competitors on occupancy and nightly rates. They're winners of the 2025 Next Level Best Service Accommodation Award, and they now mentor investors through YPN, Total SA and Mastermind SA, teaching how to turn average properties into exceptional performers. Please welcome David and Samantha McHattie. Hi guys, how are you?
We're very good, thank you. You?
Amazing. Good to have you here. I'm going to hand the screen over to you guys and let you crack on.
Wow. Thank you very much indeed. Let me just play this. And hopefully everybody can see that. Welcome everybody. Thanks very much for giving up your time, and congratulations on plugging in and getting the opportunity to learn a lot today. We're here to explain why, or give an insight as to why SA should be part of your strategy for 2026. Well, Katie's already touched on it. There's a brief summary. We're not going to go into this. But I suppose in essence, if you look at any rich list, there are three main areas that people get onto a wealth list or rich list. They are inheritance, property, or business. And the beauty about SA is that it combines business and property. Our background is heavily steeped in hospitality, which is ultimately why this is perfect for us and a great opportunity for everybody. Having had this background, Samantha also participated in the Mastermind program, was a top performer, and we're part of the Next Level Graduates program as well. So why should SA be part of your strategy? It's certainly not because it's easy. I'm not going to suggest that for 1 second, but it's also not about unicorns and finding unicorns, but it's because professional execution can deliver far better returns than any other strategy that you could choose. And what if I suggested to you that even one property could earn more than the median UK salary? It's very real. It's not a special property. So we use this as a first case study that will just demonstrate what this might look like. The smelly townhouse that nobody wanted, it had been on the market for quite a long time. It's the one on the right, and the Pebble Dash one. It doesn't look like that anymore. But fundamentally, we've paid £157,000 for it. It is on a busy junction. The front door is off the pavement. It's in a tired seaside town and was in terrible condition. And being brutally honest, Samantha visited the first time and never went back until we'd actually purchased it and it was empty. It was not a pleasant experience at all. But hey ho, the software is really helpful and useful, but it is only an indication. It can only base any data it provides to you on the evidence that it has provided. The forecast for this was £45,000 of revenue. 60% occupancy at £210 a night. And when we spoke to people in the Liverpool Wirral area, SA on the Wirral, why? And when we showed them pictures of the property, what on earth are you doing? Are you mad? Walk away, run away. But we didn't see it that way. Using software, using expertise, using all the education that we'd had and our own experience. These are some of the interior shots. And as of the 31st of December, just gone, the revenue for this property is over £80,000 a year. That's 185% higher than the projected performance from the software. Net profit over £45,000. And the ROI in year one was 89.8%. And I stress this is just an average property, but the key is it's professional execution that is absolutely essential for moving this forward. So, what is the scale of the opportunity?
Took me unawares there, because I was actually watching you. I was quite intent on watching you. I forgot.
We're not experts or pros at this, folks.
So I thought we'd start with looking at the scale of the opportunity. So the UK SA market is worth £4.2 billion. It's forecast to grow to 8.8 billion by 2030, not more than doubling in size. Airbnb alone delivered 491 million bookings in 2024 globally, and Booking.com booked 1.1 billion room nights globally in 2024. 90.1 million of those guest nights in 2024 were in the UK, and it's indicated that demand will be sustained through 2025. Lots of people say that the market is oversaturated, and I would say that's a common misconception. At any one time, there are between 350,000 and 481,000 active listings for serviced accommodation. Only 12.6% of those are operated professionally. 87% of the competition is defined as amateur. Of 451,000 listings, only 56,700 are professionally managed. So if you're looking at your competitor size, if you're going to operate professionally, it's only 56,700 properties across the whole UK. Your real competition is much smaller than it can appear. We particularly like saturated markets. You can prove there's demand by the amount of property, but it's also very easy to outperform. So another thing that people say is, but legislation is coming, it's going to make it harder. I don't agree. Regulation will professionalise the market. Compliance becomes your competitive moat in 2026 to 2028. Scotland implemented nationwide licensing in 2022 with tighter controls, and the most regulated areas are Edinburgh, the Highlands and London. You might be surprised to find they are the areas with the 3 highest occupancy levels in the UK. Regulation has helped professional operators in those areas to improve their business. Casual operators will exit the market, maybe not immediately, but over time the market will start to shrink. And professional operators, and here's the key, with a proper product, guest experience in license and insurance and business structures, will capture their displaced demand. That will also lead to an increase in nightly rate and increase in occupancy levels. Another thing people say is, but there aren't any contractors in my area. I think a lot of people would be surprised to know that contractors make up less than 5% of the potential serviced accommodation market. 275 million Airbnb users and 560 million Booking.com monthly visitors. There are plenty of people in the market for SA that aren't contractors. The demand isn't theoretical. It's 1.6 billion transactions happening annually across 2 platforms alone. And another important distinction, the platforms know this and people know this, and there are more platforms entering the market all the time. Your occupancy challenge isn't actually market size. It's, are you visible, and your positioning. With the correct positioning, you can become visible over all your competitors. The bookings exist. It's just whether you're in the position to capture them. Marketing for me, lots of SA operators or potential SA operators think direct bookings are vitally important and think they're going to have to spend a lot on marketing to do that. We don't actually solicit direct bookings for any of our properties. The big 4 online travel companies spent 17.8 billion on marketing in 2024. Booking Holdings, which is the owner of Booking.com, 8.3 billion, Expedia, 6.8 billion, Airbnb, 2.1 billion, and Trip.com, 1.6 billion. I wouldn't like to think how much I'd have to spend on Facebook ads to get anywhere near that number of eyes on my property. So again, the marketing is done for you with a massive, massive spend. You've just got to be in a position to capture that market. So our second case study. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's fine. Crack on.
No.
We touched on we like saturated markets. We happen to operate Liverpool and the Wirral, essentially, and Anfield is a suburb of Liverpool. It's not an affluent suburb by any stretch of the imagination. Some would call that a euphemism. And there are lots and lots of Airbnbs in and around Anfield because there is Anfield Football Stadium.
Well, I think there's currently 4 on this road that this property is.
Yeah. So should that scare you off? Well, if you're going to do average, you're competing against everybody else. But there are all sorts of users that want all sorts of experiences. And this 3-bed mid-terrace cost us £129,000. The pictures that you'll see in each case are the pictures of these properties, by the way. It is just an average house, and it's an average deal. There's nothing special about this property. And the idea that it's special because it's got Anfield Stadium next door to it is a little bit of a misnomer. At the end of the day, football matches at Anfield make up a very, very small percentage of... I've got to fill 365 nights, or 70%, 60%, 50%, 90%. That's what I'm aiming for. So I've got to draw on more than just people that are attracted to attend a football match. Again, and this is a very typical average suggestion. The average revenue suggestion was 23,700, and actually I've recently just redone the exercise looking at the actual local performers myself, and that remains a typical average performance. 48% occupancy at £136 a night. It is adjacent, 38 nights covered. The reality for this property, it was actually at the end of December for the last year, it's £51,500 revenue, and that's 115% higher than the current market average, with a net profit of over £25,000 and an ROI of 45%. Same market, just professional execution, and we've doubled the best local performer. It is important that we have this separation. And we'll look at one more case study.
So the other advantage to SA is it works with multiple control models. Because of the high cash flowing strategy, it can work very well for rent to SA, and it can work exceptionally well for purchase lease options. So I found this property through Property Filter, using the training I learned on my mastermind year. So this property was available for purchase or for rent, which is a really good indication that someone's willing to do a purchase lease option. So this deal was done in 20 minutes. It's a 4-bed semi-detached property, again in a tired seaside town. We had the keys in 9 days. And this property had just been renovated back to brick, so we didn't paint, we didn't need to put flooring in. We added blinds, the windows had no covering, blinds, and we furnished it, and that was literally it. We paid £1 to secure the deal, and when I said it's a high cash flowing strategy, so it works. The reason it works so well is because you can make a landlord very happy. They can still do well out of the deal while there's still enough meat in it for you to do well. So the location average and software forecast for this one was 23,700, 48% occupancy at 136. Again, we didn't agree. I'm sorry, that shouldn't be there. But the revenue for this one is £45,076, and you can see, again, it's just the white walls, the original carpet, and we've just furnished it. Net profit of over 20%. This one converts slightly less to profit because our base cost is higher. The rent that we pay to the landlord that he's very happy with is more than we would pay on a traditional mortgage. And we have the option to buy, but not the obligation, this house at any point in 5 years. I think we've got 3 left. Cash on cash, that's 122%, and professional systems enable rapid deployment without compromising quality. So with these more creative deals, the rent to SA and the PLO, you can be, you've got no refurb to do and you're just furnishing it. You can be generating cash from, near enough day one.
These are ordinary properties, but they are better by design. And by better by design, I don't just mean what we call scroll stopping design, the attractiveness of what you see on the imagery. It's really important that people understand that it's the professional hospitality execution across 4 critical areas: the guest experience design, the strategic positioning, the operational systems, and the brand building. And by that, I don't mean going out and sticking your own personal branding everywhere. I mean, it's the word of mouth. It's what people are saying about you. That is build. Every guest that writes a review is helping build your brand. What we end up doing, therefore, is compounding with incremental gains. One of the examples of the British, cycling team that became world leading was because it was looking for 1% incremental move forward on many, many different things. The hospitality flywheel that most operators just never access. They try and drive people off to direct bookings, which means you don't get a review. If you don't get a review, you're not building your brand. If you're not getting reviews, the OTA platforms won't push you forward because it doesn't look like anybody's booking as far as they can tell, and they're not getting recency of feedback about how good a job you're doing for their guests. The OTAs do not work for us. They work for the same people we do, which is our guests. And an average operators don't learn and understand the complexity of this flywheel, and they focus on optimizing single variables like occupancy rather than building integrated systems. A lot of people we meet in SA will introduce themselves and say, I'm a super host and I've got 90% occupancy or similar. 90% occupancy without understanding the ADR is just a vanity metric. Well, it is a vanity. Sales are vanity, profit is sanity, and cash flow is king is a very long-standing business adage, which is totally applicable. You've got people selling algorithm. We can fix your SEO, your algorithm tricks. You make the algorithms on the OTAs work for you by delivering great guest experiences and building a genuine performance that starts to compound and work. A number of our properties are actually one of the great signals, and one of the real little buzzers is when Airbnb start using your properties, average properties, in their online advertising. That's you've got there. You've got to keep getting there, and you've got to keep that momentum going. But we find people sending us. I've just seen your property in Anfield, the 3-bed 3-bed terrace. Being advertised by Airbnb alongside properties in America, in the Far East, in gorgeous luxury properties in Paris or South Africa or whatever. It's about incrementally improving and continuing to stay on the ball by measuring the metrics that matter. And focus on value, how you add value, how the guest perceives value. One of the many problems is worrying about cost. Oh, I leave one toilet roll. We have a cupboard full of toilet rolls. We're not, because we've set the parameters of the business up correctly. If somebody uses more toilet rolls, it's really not an issue. It's really not a problem for us. And why 2026 specifically? There are 4 inflection points, 4 key shifts that are taking place. There's been a lot of talk for a lot of time about regulation. Guest expectations are changing, economic conditions have moved, and technology democratization means things are available for people. And they are converging to make it better for professional. When we look at regulatory, licensing is coming, regulation is coming, and from our perspective, that's a good thing. The taxation system is changing. If you're operating this in the correct structure under a limited company and such forth, the abolition of furnished holiday lettings regime doesn't really affect us. It's a cost of building your business, and you deal with it through your accounts and your profit and loss account, and take costs and capitalize and various other pieces. Lots of councils are consulting or implementing, and at the minute they're implementing in a random fashion. Some of it smacks overreach is what it smacks of. They're short of money, and therefore, while there's no legislation they can reach, you just go, oh, you're not on a buy-to-let, you're an SA, therefore you can have double council tax. You need to sign up to this scheme, you need to pay this fee. There's no law that says that that's the case, but it's happening. Legislation will be a good thing. It doesn't kill industries. It kills poor operators, people that are trying to earn a fast buck or not do it properly or not worry about the safety of their guests, but it will reward professional operators. There's absolutely no doubt that when you're in a cost of living era and post-COVID, guest expectations have shifted, and that's not going to change. Plus, people travel more. People are getting more and more insights into what is available, and it's really important that we understand that the platforms know this. They are becoming increasingly sophisticated in only putting forward the properties and hosts that they've got confidence in. And guests are willing to pay a premium for proven quality and an experience rather than just price. That gap between amateur and professional is widening, and we're happy about that. Economics, it is tough. Interest rates are more normal. The 1%, 0% bank interest rates, they weren't normal, and one of the reasons why SA is the hot ticket that everybody's talking about is because it can categorically deliver better yields, better return on your investment than other strategies. You relying just on the capital appreciation of the asset is less reliable, and these are better cash flowing assets, which are becoming a priority. And it is fundamentally a strong buyer's market. When we look at technology, there are so many professional tools accessible to smaller operators. In the old world of B&Bs, which flourished in the UK, there was no easy marketing, but there were no big hotel chains. Hotel chains came in, understood how to market, and ate up the B&Bs. We are now in a different world where big hotels can't be on Airbnb, but we can be on the same platform that they're on. We can also have the same technology that they use to govern their pricing and their availability. It is allowing, and other models allow you to efficiently communicate and manage your operation without sacrificing quality.
Buy back your time.
And buy back your time. It doesn't have to be time intensive. The time intensity comes from not using the right systems, not using the right process, and not understanding the right metrics and having the right business model. The paradox is that technology helps professional operators become more efficient, but it doesn't make amateur operators professional. I've got a number of people I've been working with. They have the right software, but the software is not being set up properly by other people who purported to be experts hosting their business for them. You can have expensive tools, but you're still just an amateur, and you've got better dashboards. And when this year coming is the year that the gap just gets bigger between amateur and professional. Amateurs will compete on price. That's a race to the bottom, and every time then there's another cost burden. It changes your decision making on everything else that you do. The middle ground is disappearing. It is about focusing on being professional and offering a quality experience, but that has huge returns for people. And let's have a look at one last case study.
So this is one of our students, and Richard is a portfolio landlord and wanted to repurpose this property. So we already owned it. It'd been on a buy-to-let, the tenant was moving out, and he decided he wanted to increase the cash flow, so decided to do SA. It's a 3-bed apartment. Richard really trusted what we told him and really took the learning on board and did exactly what he was advised to do. He launched in one of the most challenging periods of the year, October to December. May not be challenging if you're in a ski resort, but other than that, quite challenging. Again, in a tired northwest seaside town, and his revenue is for those 3 months that he launched was 11,507. Now, I haven't got the breakdown on here, but what you want to see and what is interesting about that is that has increased between £500 and £1,000 per month since he launched. So, as the algorithm has recognised that guests really trust this experience, they've got emotional connection. Is it 5% or 10%? top 5%?
It's fluctuating between the world top 10.
He's currently fluctuating between the world top 10% and world top 5% on Airbnb. He's been used in Airbnb ads already, and that revenue is increasing month on month. So it would be very interesting to see what it is at the end of the year. So that won't stay flat for those 3 months. That won't be a quarterly performance.
It is a journey.
It is a journey. You can't just. I do want to say this actually, just in case anyone that thinks otherwise. If you've already got an SA, I don't say go away now and put your prices up to be higher than all of your competitors. Or if you're launching one, you don't start out being overpriced compared to your competitors. You start at the same kind of rate, and then as your reviews come in and you're building your brand and the demand is there, then you start to increase your nightly rate. I wouldn't want anyone to go away and just double their nightly rate.
Please don't do that.
So 3 questions for you in 2026. Are you satisfied with your buy-to-let or HMO returns if you have them, or are you wanting to buy a property and you're looking for a buy-to-let level return? Do you have capital deployed or deployable? And are you willing to learn hospitality business principles? If the answer is yes to that, then serviced accommodation, really, I implore you to consider it as part of your strategy for 2026. From our point of view, the more quality serviced accommodations there are on offer, the more people start looking to platforms like Airbnb for a different experience, a more cost-effective experience, a higher value experience. If anyone stayed in a big hotel of that sort of level, a Crown Plaza, a Hilton, a Marriott, since COVID, I think you'll have noticed their prices have increased, but their quality has really diminished. So there's a real opportunity to take them on, and for us, the bigger the market, the more we can capture, and I implore you to do the same.
Yeah, we have run training and development departments and built skill strategies and various other things and helped grow education. But we're not here as educators, we're operators. And if we didn't believe that the market wasn't oversaturated, that there was an opportunity, we wouldn't sit here and tell 500 people that they should look at SA because we don't want you to come and eat my breakfast, lunch and dinner. But you're not going to. There is plenty of market out there. There's loads of opportunity. And we genuinely just want to make sure people do it correctly, because if you do it badly, you could be joining the Broken Dreams Club, and the opportunities are huge. Do it right, and it's a massive opportunity.
I did ask him specifically not to tell me how many people were there, because I'm not the most confident public speaker, so thanks for that, David. And yeah, if you would like to learn more, we are going to do a free training webinar on Tuesday at 6:30, where we'll go into some detail on how legislation can be a help, not a hindrance, the best types of properties for SA, and I think you'll find that one surprising, the art of the possible, why SAs are cheaper to set up than HMOs, and why SA gives you the most exit strategies.
And thank you for your time and attention. That is just, I write a Substack, loads of information, loads of free resource about SA. Feel free, scan it, use it. And in the meantime, any questions? And again, thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. That was absolutely incredible. Guys, definitely join that webinar. These guys are clearly experts in the industry and have a lot of knowledge that they would like to share. We have quite a few questions. The first one, hopefully quite a simple one, but I guess it could be complicated. Where do you buy your furniture?
Okay. So as a rule of thumb, when it comes to design, never buy all your furniture in one place, because each store kind of has a trend they're going with for the year. So you want to mix it up between some of the ones I buy most of my stuff from. I use Dunelm, Dusk, for higher end pieces, Ochre. I like to mix some expensive lighting in with some cheaper. So if you're expensive lighting, you want to look at Pookie. And then for your standard lighting, John Lewis, M&S, we buy. So all high street, really. I don't use any high end. The thing with design is I want it to last 10 years, so I stay away from trends. I want it to be scroll stopping. I want pieces that last. I also buy a lot on Facebook Marketplace and antique stores.
Amazing. An interesting question actually. Do you ever use the service accommodations yourself?
Yes, we do actually. We used to when we first started frequently, and before we ever opened the first, we had friends stay.
We stay and other people stay. There was a testing process before.
Yeah. And we still stay because we will notice things that other people may not. And it's important that we check that.
And we choose. So when we attended the Christmas black tie with Pin, we stayed in an Airbnb, not a hotel. We like to assess the market and understand what other people are doing. We're always looking for ways to move forward and things we like, and staying rooted to what's important.
Yeah.
Amazing. I like that. Someone recently told me their top tip for setting up a service accommodation was to stay in it yourself so that you can see if there's anything that's not user friendly.
Yeah, definitely.
So Paul has asked, how do you mitigate the risk of bad bookings where they trash the premises? Do you have insurance to cover this?
Okay, so you get this a lot, and I know it's a lot of people's concern with SA, and there's a couple of things. Where we are in the market, because we show, so it's not actually in that presentation, but one of our properties is £190 more per night than any other nearby property. You mitigate an awful lot of that risk by that positioning in the market. But we have obviously SA insurance and Airbnb covers. Airbnb covers great. They actually cover you for any problems that your guests have ever had. We've actually used it once. It wasn't trashed, but there was some damage. Airbnb paid it out straight away. No problems. We've had a hotel and with no insurance for a guest doing anything. And even though it's a hotel and you're on site, things happen and guests have caused us issues, and that's buy new mattresses or replace carpets or whatever it may be. But nothing outside of the ordinary. Airbnb cover for Airbnb bookings. We have standard SA insurance, and it's not been a problem for us.
It's one of the problems that when you get into the market that is the race to the bottom, and you're just selling on price only. It's a completely different guest and a completely different guest mentality. We've had guests that literally message us as they left. I'm really sorry I broke a glass. I've left a £20 note on the dining table. It's like, go back in and grab it. Number one, our glasses don't cost £20 each. And number two, it's the cost of doing business. And it's how you frame and how you put together all of the pieces that is important. But no, nobody's trashed any of our properties. The worst one was somebody was smoking in it. That actually is as hard to deal with as anything else. But the cover and support we got from Airbnb was first class.
Yeah. We do have another thing to do, by the way. We do have minute monitors. So we have noise monitors in the property. So if it was, a party, we'd know about that straight away.
Before our neighbours told us,
Yeah.
Wow, interesting. I didn't know that you could do that. So that's a new learning for myself as well. We're always learning. Anne has asked, how do you find good tradesmen for refurbishments or tradeswomen? It's quite difficult for new people, and a lot of people see it as risky. I know personally it's quite hard to find reliable tradespeople. So how do you guys do it?
I think it's a universal problem. Before we did our very first ever back to bricks renovation, we went to a lot of PIN meetings and met a lot of people and went off recommendation from people we know. And then along the way, on a smaller scale, for instance, we've got a locksmith now, Mark, and between him and his team, he's got someone on there who used to be a joiner and someone who used to be this, and he provides, obviously because he's a locksmith, out of hours cover. So he is great to have on board, because I can phone him and say, oh, a window won't close, or something that isn't actually to do with locks. But if he's got someone, he will send them out to do it. And that is just, we found him looking for a locksmith to put the specific types of locks we wanted in a property. So, a little bit trial and error. Another great guy we met in a pub.
One of the bullet points on one of the other slides was focus on value, not cost.
Yeah.
We don't look for the cheapest people to do anything for us. We look for the people that are the better people and never the cheapest people.
Yeah. In fact, actually, the case study I showed you, our student, the one area he didn't listen to me straight away was on his painters and decorators. And I offered my team who are fantastic, but no, by no means the cheapest. And he said, oh no, I think that quote's really high. You know, I've got buy-to-lets, I know what this should cost. And then I think we cycled through 3 of his decorators. I did a bit of it until eventually we ended up pulling in another team because mine were booked then. And the whole job ended up costing him double what if we'd just gone with them in the first place. So I think David's point is...
Yeah, do your due diligence, get your references, but treat them like a partner and not just like a resource that you just throw as little money as possible at. And I think that applies across everything. Our housekeepers are incredibly well paid versus other people in the market, but they are far more than cleaners. They are our housekeepers, their eyes and ears. They go way beyond the remit of a normal cleaner.
Amazing. That actually brings me perfectly onto the next question, which, how do you consistently check the quality of your cleaners and make sure that they're doing a good job?
There's an old adage that people use, which is what gets measured gets managed, which is actually only the start of the process. The rest of it, and the most important phrase, is what gets managed gets done. So there is every time we bring on a new housekeeper, they work with one of our established housekeepers first. It's an increased cost for us, but actually we're always looking at further down the line. We want to get that person up to speed to understand our standards, our requirements. We pay them well, we treat them with respect, we look after them, and therefore they want to work with us. And because we're paying a higher rate, we have a better choice in the marketplace, and they know they can't easily replicate what they're getting. And it's just for X number of times they do a clean, they'll be working with somebody else. But then when they first do their own, it's checked. It's checked. We don't anally we use Turno for some of our communication and transferring of information between the booking portals and our housekeeping team. We don't make them fill in forms and take photos and that stuff. We manage them and set expectations and manage those expectations. There's any number of times where Samantha will come and go, no, I'm coming back down after this one. Right, we're remaking the beds. No, this is how the beds are. Okay. And however many times that takes is how long it takes. How many opportunities the housekeeper, bless you, get to actually not do it correctly is our decision ultimately. But our housekeepers are an amazing part of our team.
So now with our long-standing housekeepers, we don't check every time. We don't need to. They're also incentivized for 5-star reviews. So for everyone, they get extra money and things. So
housekeepers get mentioned in reviews.
Yeah,
personally,
frequently get mentioned in reviews because sometimes people ask, can they drop bags off early and things, and I'll meet our housekeepers. And our housekeepers, some of them, one of them went to the supermarket for people checking in once. They didn't know where it was, and she was like, well, I'll go for you. You don't need much. I'll go and pick it up. So, they really do go above and beyond. But yes, at first, definitely we check it every time until we've checked that many times that we're confident it will be right. And then, And
in essence, Katie, it's not plug and play. This is a business, and a business, when you're managing anybody or anything, requires you to establish what your standards are, and that doesn't mean what you think. What you need to understand is what your competition that you want to beat are doing. Make sure you know what standards you want to reach and eclipse, and then manage the team and the processes to ensure that gets delivered consistently. And if you've done a good enough job in the rest of it, then you will be forgiven by guests. We got a 5-star review, and to be fair, the head housekeeper and me missed the fact that we hadn't put any bloody towels out. But we still got a 5-star review.
I didn't know you'd missed it.
Yeah, I missed it too. It's like, well, what was I doing? Mistakes happen, but how you deal with these things, it also builds your brand. There's nothing but, I am so sorry. I'll be there in 5 minutes. We can solve that. We can fix that. Everything will get resolved.
Amazing. And I think that's part of it, isn't it? Customer service has got to be top notch. And it sounds like you guys absolutely smashed that. Steve has asked what software you use to assess a new property for service accommodation.
Okay, so primarily the main one that we use is AirDNA. Airbotics and various others we'll use. We use that, but it is also built on a lot of our understanding and also research into the macro, the micro, and the locational data. We pull lots of data from various places, but the foundation is something like Air DNA. Price Labs, slightly more complex, but probably in more detailed and better in some ways, but it is more expensive and more complex to use that for your resourcing and getting data.
But again, do just bear in mind, any of those can only tell you the information that's already in them. So, you know, if they say an average nightly rate, or so for instance, if you were looking at a property in an area and all your competition do a 3-night minimum stay, the software will tell you that the best thing you can do is a 3-night minimum stay. That doesn't mean it's true, it just means it's got no examples of everything else. So the software can take you so far, but it is really important to have a thorough understanding and to question what you see and question why it's telling you that as well.
And you must understand that the software will only ever give you average.
Yeah.
And if you go back to all of those case studies, every one of ours is now the market leader in its location because of the combination of things and the continual improvement that we undertake and the journey that we take this on with all of the integrated systems and processes. But yeah, AirDNA is undoubtedly the easiest for people to access and use, but you need to question it, you need to explore it. You can also go on Airbnb itself and actually start trawling through and understanding what the other people in that are doing, what makes them good, what are guests saying about them, and that's right at the end of looking at the property location. But there's also understanding demand. There's a lot in that area, a huge amount in that area, and it really is important to do some education if you want to maximize and get to the professional and the elite end, which is where huge returns are. It is about putting the sweat in and doing the research. We don't visit loads of properties. I think we've purchased tried to purchase about 60% of the properties. And that doesn't mean we've bought loads. It's like we've already done the work. We know we're going to actually effectively buy it unless there's something that we weren't aware of at the time. It's all desktop and it's possible to do.
Thank you for that. We have time for a couple more questions. Adenoran has asked what channel manager software you use, and a few people are asking about the CRMs you use. Do you have any virtual assistants? How do you generally structure your behind the scenes work?
Okay. Channel. There's loads of options on channel managers. I think the funny thing about all these are that it's actually very nuanced. There's not a simple answer. In very few occasions will I say there's some. I believe quite firmly that Price Labs will do your best dynamic pricing job. Right. No matter what else you're using, that is what they're there for. That's what I believe they're the market leader in. When it comes to channel managers, they all offer a slightly different collection of provision and services, and that very much depends on what you want from it and what's more important to you. We happen to use a channel manager called Smoobu, SMOOBU. At the time, it was a preferred partner of Airbnb. Over 80% of our bookings come from Airbnb. It's easy to integrate, it's easy to work, and the things that I dropped down on a piece of paper that we wanted the systems to do, it does. So that is the anchor point to plug in your pricing. It's also the communication, the automated communication piece. It also does a guest guide that's included, and it also provides a direct booking website. We don't have a CRM. We don't drive marketing out to people direct. Our guests that have stayed with us have the option to book again direct with us for basically the cost minus the fees on Airbnb or Booking.com. There's nothing in it for us for them to book direct. It's a courtesy to our guests.
And we lose our Airbnb cover.
And at the same time, we lose a review on a platform, etc., etc. So we're very, very focused that the engine works best when you've got lots of reviews going through the channels and you price it all correctly. So we do have a CRM. It's buried in our channel manager. I've got all the data that the bookings come from, but I don't use it to push information out to them. I don't inundate or spam my guests. My guests know where we are. They know what we do. They have the routes to get to our direct booking website. So the channel manager depends what you want from it. Turno is the software that we use to integrate to maintenance and cleaning teams. But again, we only use a fraction of it. And that's probably the most simple of those software models that's out there. But that's all we wanted. And
we don't have any VAs.
No.
We choose to answer our guest. So we have an automated stream of information that goes to the guest. But outside of that, we choose to answer it ourselves.
that's
For
our fun
a
build.
few reasons. It allows us to build our brand. We teach, so I think it's really important to be, and we're still growing our portfolio. So I want to be involved in what the guests are asking. I want that sort of first-hand knowledge. But there are, lots of VAs who can answer your kind of day-to-day Airbnb queries if you wanted them to.
They can't answer them like me, though. I care more than anybody else, bar Samantha. And probably even more than Samantha. I care more than Samantha. That's the bit that I enjoy, and I know categorically that my guests are going to be giving me a great review because I've already been engaging with them, and I can react quickly, concisely, effectively, and also just add value to their potential, their upcoming visit when they ask questions or not. So it's a really important part, but I have to do. I reckon I spend, we work it out at 2 to 5 hours a week.
Yeah.
To manage our portfolio, and most of that is this part of messaging.
Yeah.
That's the bit I want to leave space for. So everything else is organised and structured and systems, and so that my time is focused on the bit that adds the most value.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, guys. That is all we've got time for today. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and guys, please join their webinar at 6:30 on the 13th of January because they will be answering all of these questions that have gone unanswered. Remember, today we have got the